Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you are all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and today we've got some drama to hop into once again. Things have elevated once again regarding this auto sprint situation. We did talk about it a few days ago, Neptune, Crimsix, definitely some discussion as to whether Neptune was using this auto sprint mechanic, but Crim reached out to me a few hours ago to talk about this in greater detail, give some more insight as to exactly why this is an issue and why this kind of trust situation with the GAs right now is affecting the entirety of the professional scene, not just this ridiculous auto sprint gentleman's agreement we've been talking about most recently. Intrigued to hear your perspective in the comment section. We're going to be doing a bit of a deeper dive on this issue today. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you also for 44,000 subscribers on the channel. Hit that milestone yesterday. Still, analytics says 50% of you guys watching won't be yet subscribed, so if you don't want to miss any of this drama and of course the action through the entirety of the CDL 2021 season starting next Thursday, the big red button is your best friend. So yesterday, episode 3 of the Breaking Point podcast went live. We talked about some of these cheating accusations, right? And aBeZy was talking about his perspective, I gave my perspective, Lionman gave his perspective, and then as is tradition at this point, aBeZy gets absolutely roasted on the timeline. So Crim comes out with the following, referencing the podcast. If you guys would like to check it out, the link will be down below. But Crim talking about, of course, this entire issue. Once again, it raises up. A few days ago, we looked at the fact that Neptune was streaming. I'll actually share the VOD for you guys today. I kind of did a surface level analysis of it last time around. But Neptune was streaming. He was playing like 2v2s against his teammates while they prepared for scrims up against the London Royal Ravens. And well, supposedly there was some sort of tip-off that Neptune might have been using this auto sprint mechanic. If you guys aren't aware of exactly what it is, you can put a setting on where if you hold your left stick forward, instead of walking like you normally would, you automatically sprint. And this, well, gives you some advantage. It's not as strong as it was last year in Call of Duty Modern Warfare, but it still gives you some advantage in terms of how quickly you're able to move, get around the map, and certain things of the sort. So that is GA'd by the professionals. They decided, okay, we don't want to allow movement to become easier for certain players, but supposedly Neptune has been using it. A lot of pros went into his stream, and then there were some very suspect things that happened, right? So all the pros were talking about it in the stream. I'll share the clip with you guys in a couple of minutes here, but effectively his coach or someone in the background says, look, all these guys who are in your stream asking you to show your settings. No settings get shown, even though it's very obvious that he's aware that, well, the pros are asking for it, and surely if the settings disabled, it wouldn't be too hard to bring your settings up and just put the whole thing to bed. Then a few minutes later, his stream mysteriously goes down. His teammate Skies says, okay, like he's just been having some internet issues lately, but I mean, how many top tier pro players have internet issues on a regular basis? I hadn't really heard about him having too many internet issues before that incident, right? So a number of things that are very suspect, right? And you can certainly look into it, and especially some of the movement in, well, these clips we're going to look at is like, wow, this guy's either an absolute wizard on the sticks, which he certainly is, right, coming over from Halo, but well, some of it does look somewhat too good to be true. But of course, it's impossible really to prove any of this stuff unless he actually does bring it up. But I think a lot of the pros just look at some of these clips and say, okay, this is a little bit too suspect to be true, and then supposedly since then he has now turned it off. But the problem from Crim's perspective is that if he was using it, and well, the majority of pros, it seems like, do seem to believe that he was, then well, why have they not like admitted to it and say, okay, like it was a mistake, like I messed up, whatever, and let's just move on from there, right? As Crimsix did back in the day. So you can see Neptune tweets this out. This was middle of the Call of Duty Modern Warfare season when Crim used it for like, I think it was 50 odd maps before anyone figured it out. And Crim goes on to have some explanation here. So Neptune tweeted this out yesterday before deleting it, and then well, Crim replies with the following: I ran it in a 5-week off period to prove a point that people like you were going to use it and it would fly completely under the radar. 57 maps he used auto single sprint last year in scrims before Revan noticed in the Codcaster. You used it in an official match, and if we didn't notice it, you'd still have it on right now. Save the subtweets and just at me next time, you coward. So classic stuff on the timeline. Crimsix saying, look, we noticed it, now you're not using it anymore, but you're still not admitting to using it, right? So this thread continues right here. So Neptune comes back, you know, good one, bro. And Crim says, look, you're going on a gaming subreddit to use that against me. And Sight says his teammate, Crim, he doesn't use it, bro, and never has. Hop off the kid, right? So we're going to look at the clip right now and show why it does look pretty suspect from certain perspectives, and then talk about the whole issue. The fact that they haven't admitted to it means that, well, now we have this whole trust issue throughout the entirety of the pro scene.
Damn it, I know you. Look at on point. One shot for you, brother.
What's going on here, Caesar?
He's on the alley. Oh, he jumped out. Top bed.
He's wanted, brother.
Mid bus.
Wanted.
Oh. There. Nah. Bus. On the car.
On the van. The van's G8,
Nathan.
though. The van's G8.
They're both wanting. They're both wanting, honey.
I'm gonna start playing the van now. You gonna play like that? I'm gonna play the van.
Here's playing Korean. Oh my god, look at him double peeking me. They're scared. Weak. Oh.
I'm on the point, brother.
Soviet dominance.
Yo, why boys on your sec? I'm on them stream, everyone's telling you to open your settings. Odd.
Wanting from the gunny. Are these guys ready or no?
Yeah, they are. One eliminator here. You're hosted.
So you might well ask, okay, does it really matter? At the end of the day, it's just auto sprint. But as Scrum says a few days ago, Florida, along with every single team, agreed not to use it. He admits further down, look, I think this GA is ridiculous, but you know, it doesn't matter if you think it's dumb, OP or not. If someone else, well, if they decide not to use it, it cannot be used, right? It's not as OP as Modern Warfare. And you know, what does FaZe think, right? Having also agreed not to use it. Now, Florida are using against them, supposedly. Neptune was using it against them in their match, where, well, of course, Neptune and the Florida Mutineers beat out Atlanta FaZe, right, in that matchup, where it was pretty unexpected that Neptune was going to be playing that well. So maybe that's why Crimsix is indicating here that's why they were playing so well in that matchup. Crim continues then yesterday, look, I don't understand what's the big deal about this. Good question, he says. I want it gone either way personally. Would rather not have anyone having to record their settings or whatever. My goal, that's Crimsix, is to either get it un-GA'd and just no one can use it. Look, it's a ridiculous GA. It's really difficult to enforce. How can we even tell if people are using it in challenges, supposedly? Maybe Neptune was using it in challenges the entire season because, well, it doesn't seem to be strictly GA'd over there. I'm sure a lot of people are using it, but this is really where the issues come about as a result of this, because if Neptune was using it, they haven't admitted to using it or whatever, and because of that, there's other pros right now, and I've heard rumors as well from other sources that a lot of pros are using this right now, and increasingly, as Crim says, because there was no repercussions for Neptune using this, other players are now tempted to use it, and they hear rumors like, okay, X player is using it, Y player is using it, and therefore, well, I should be using it, or I'm at a disadvantage, I'm getting cheated, therefore I have to slap ATS on, or auto sprint even, and supposedly people are using it more and more over these last few weeks, to the point where basically everyone's using it and everyone's breaking the GA. So the goal is either have a setting in the game to restrict it automatically, where Treyarch can come in and say, look, if you enable CDL settings, auto sprint is just automatically disabled. Or the other option is it gets un-GA'd. And well, as Crim says, a bigger issue, any sort of future changes, GAs, etc., are now put in complete jeopardy with people trusting Florida. Obviously, I'd rather not have trust involved in stuff, but it is somewhat necessary when it takes several weeks for the developers to catch up to what the pros are doing, such as, okay, using this snake slide, which Shotzzy discovered at the start of the title, which isn't exactly the most competitive movement, you can argue, and then using 4 trophies in matches, because right now I think a lot of the players have to use trophies on their teams because there's no other field upgrades or whatever it's called, which is actually allowed in the game, but not all of the players on the team were allowed to throw it, because then it would be too overpowered if all the players were using trophies. So there's a trust issue in that, okay, you just have to trust that the other team's assault rifle isn't throwing the trophies, or one of the players on their team isn't throwing the trophies, because I think only 2 players are allowed to use trophies on a certain team at a certain time, and therefore that trust issue creates some even more problems in the league. So I think in the ideal world, Neptune and co would just say, okay, look, I messed up, I used it, whatever, and well, let's just move on with our lives. Even though the situation does look very suspect, we now have even more issues, as Crimsix is describing. So pretty incredible stuff. And as Crim says a little bit more, it's not necessarily just how smooth or clean the movement is, it's also about the pacing, right? You beat people to certain positions. He feels like he's noticed that, well, a difference in his gameplay when he's been scrimming them or what he's watched. Him not beating people to certain positions now, since supposedly he's turned it off than he used to. I mean, a crazy situation, and tweet to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Honestly, what do we really do about it? As Crim says, either we un-GA it or there's a setting in the game. Otherwise, these trust issues are just going to become increasingly more prevalent. Few things to finish off the video then here with. So yesterday, they confirmed the COD League, well, the talent lineup for the season. That's Lottie, of course, as the host, Nameless on the desk, Study, Lando as the casting pair, returning from last year, Chance and Miles, Maven and Merc, thankfully, are back in business, Teep hosting the barracks, and Jess actually is back, as interestingly here, a Majors Insider. What exactly does that mean? COD Gamepedia are kind of hinting that potentially Majors Insider might mean that, okay, Majors are going to be played on a LAN environment. Jess will be there doing interviews like she has done back for the Pro League in the past. That would be really good to see. Hopefully that's the case. Hopefully that's something they're working on, or it just means she kind of does the interviews for the events, and when they come back to LAN, that is going to be possible. But certainly indicates to me that, well, LAN is being considered at the present time. Some kit announcements from yesterday as well, so new year, new look, same Royal Ravens, Sailor London Royal Ravens, of course, so this is their kit that they revealed yesterday, and also, as Coggepedia say, once again, absolutely on fire spoons with the tweets as of late. Pick 1 is shipping to the UK, Pick 2 is shipping to a random zip code in New York in the US. Much cheaper than some of the other options we were looking at yesterday, shipping a lot cheaper as well, so really cool to see that European fans, UK fans especially, can actually get their hands on some Royal Ravens merch for not a ridiculous cost. Mutineers also do their fresh looks from the deep end, right? I actually thought the Mutineers ones were really quite nice. I think they do a good job with their branding on the whole, and New York as well did their reveal as well. Glazer looks so fed up in some of these images, it's pretty entertaining. Pretty sad to see Zoomer as well, of course did the photo shoots for these, but no longer in their starting lineup as a team right now. So as Crone tweets out, these are the images, the links will be down below, well, at least to this tweet, so you guys can find out the shop to pre-order and get all of that stuff ready, and more things coming out over the coming days. And speaking of Florida, this entire video, thought this is a pretty nasty clip of Scump up against the Mutineers in some scrims last night, but intrigued to hear your perspective down below. I wonder how this stuff will continue. Whose side do you take on the matter? How suspect does it look? Very interesting questions once again. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always, take care, and I will see you next time.